Imagine the fun you'll have at your wedding, one of life's most treasured moments. In each episode, hear from leading wedding professionals as they share with you insider tips and personal advice for a magical wedding. Welcome to the Indian Wedding Podcast. Here to help plan your wedding with style and grace are your hosts, Kunal and Jinal Sampat.
Indian weddings are incomplete without henna, also known as Mehndi. One of the ways to spot a newly married Indian bride is to look at her hands. You'll notice beautiful henna designs, in many cases extending to her forearms all the way up to her elbow. This ancient form of intricate art is brought to life by henna artists around the world. In this interview, we wanted to showcase one of the best Indian henna artists in the San Francisco Bay Area and ask her questions about the Mehndi ceremony. Our guest today is Neeta Desai Sharma, Mehndi designer, henna artist, and a teacher who has been practicing this form of art over 3 decades now. Neeta was kind enough to share with us a lot of valuable information that brides usually are not aware of. For instance, the importance of using natural henna products and why brides should stop fantasizing applying Mandy at the same time as their guests are some of the topics we dig into deeper. We hope you enjoy this conversation with the all-amazing Neeta on the Indian Wedding Podcast. So, Neeta, thank you so much for joining us today on the Indian Wedding Podcast. Gina and I are really excited to kick this episode off with you. We've had a long-standing relationship with you, and we're really excited to finally have you on the show. You're really the leader in henna designs and just this type of artistic work. I feel like all over the nation, if not just the Bay Area. I know we know you through work in the Bay Area, but I feel like all the things that we see online, I think people are looking for inspiration from you all the time. So you truly are the pioneer. So we're really thrilled to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me over. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, Neeta. So to get started, I wanted to ask with a basic question that some of them may not know. So what's the best way to describe a Mehndi ceremony to someone that is not familiar with this custom?
Mehndi basically is part of the wedding rituals. Traditionally, a bride has to go through 16 adornments to be prepared for her wedding. It's beautifying and religious ceremonies, and it's the jewelry and the turmeric ceremony. So Mehndi is part of that. So it's an important part of like the bride getting ready for her wedding, and it's so interesting to know it's actually the amongst the first ceremonies that kickstarts the wedding festivities, and it's starting of making of a bride.
Okay.
I see. So what do you mean, like starting off being a bride? So are you saying that's usually like one of the first ceremonies that happens when somebody's getting married?
Yes. Yeah,
I
so
see.
it's usually the first or the second. Some of them will have the haldi ceremony and then have the mehndi ceremony, or sometimes the mehndi ceremony is the first before the haldi ceremony. So it's
Right.
almost like it's kind of kickstart the wedding festivities.
I
Okay.
see. So how would you explain that to somebody who's not from Asian Indian origin and may not be familiar with what Mehndi is?
Mehndi is actually it's a plant dye, and the leaves of the plant kind of give out this color. Traditionally, Mehndi actually was used as a kind of it has cooling properties. So what it does is once it on, it cools down the body. So traditionally, it was actually used for cooling the body when in olden times there was no air conditioning. But when they saw that there is color coming from this dye, then women started painting their hands and feet with it. It goes back to like ancient Egyptian civilization where even the mummies used to see henna on them. So they started using it to beautify themselves. And then it kind of got passed on to weddings and it became an important part in wedding rituals.
Oh wow, that's amazing history.
Mhm.
Uh, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's truly. I didn't know it was like attached to the Egyptian time. So the next question, Nita, I wanted to ask you, what are the overall styles of mehndi that a bride can choose from? I know there are some Arabic and these styles, but I want to hear from you what you think the different styles are of for mehndi.
Yes, Mehendi is practiced in different parts of the world. There is obviously the Indian style, which is really intricate and full of frills and, different motifs that kind of symbolize a lot of the wedding rituals. There is the Arabic style, which is again very floral, big bold flowers, leaves. They don't depict any like how we have the dulha dulhan and things like that. They don't depict any kind of animals or faces in their mehndi because the religion does not permit them to do that. There's the Gulf style again, which is also very similar to like very floral, very like there's a lot of leaves and ribbons and in a way like that's open, more space in them. In Africa, they have the Moroccan style henna, they have the Mauritanian style henna. So there is quite a few styles around the world. Interestingly, what's happening now because of social media, we're getting more exposed to all the styles, and what you see coming out now is very fusion henna. So you would see like floral along with the way traditional Indian with the motifs. So styles keep changing and Mendi has evolved a lot in the last few years.
I see. Yeah, that's great. So basically, what you're saying is there's like four predominant styles, like the Indian classical, which, and then the Gulf style, and then the Arabic style, and then the African Moroccan.
Yeah.
And these days, you're kind of starting to see a lot of fusion, and it keeps evolving. Is that right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
So
great.
how do brides know like which style to choose from if there are like so many the styles available?
It's social media now. Like
Okay.
everything's available online thanks to Instagram, Pinterest, and so brides are looking through everything and are able to identify what they like and they bring it to their henna designer. Me personally, I love the way I operate. I love to create different designs for each bride. So I usually ask my brides to choose something from my work and point out the elements that they like so I can create a design for them. I'm not a big fan of copying other artists' work.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, I know you said people get inspiration from Instagram. Is there, I know there's your Instagram, hash. I mean, I think we can talk about like your handle on Instagram. Are there any others that you feel like people can use to inspire their creativity, or is there like a hashtag that you've often see brides like looking for to kind of find designs or designers?
Uh, I think Mandy inspiration. I know there's a lot of even inspiration accounts, but there are some amazing artists all over the world that I see a lot of work from Hayat's Henna, then I see Divya Henna, there's Bharti Sangani, Kiran Sahib. I mean, the it's endless as to how many artists. There's Poonam Mehndi artist in India. There's Harin Dalal. There's Jasmine Mehndi. I mean, I can keep going on and on about
Wow. Yeah,
how
that's a
many
lot.
artists are there
That's
for
cool.
inspiration.
Right.
Yeah. So are the brides like, I guess I mean, given the fact that there's so many artists and in your world it may seem a lot, but in compared to the general population there aren't probably enough people doing this. um uh, how is the bride usually like limited to where the artist is, like say if I'm based in California and we want to get a Mandy designer or artist to work with. I guess we'll be limited to people that are in our area. How do people like? But what if I like an artist in like New Delhi? Is there like a way people are able to collaborate these days, or it's still the traditional model where I'm only limited to the people that are in my neighborhood?
Not really. Like I go out. Like if I get invited by, I mean, I've only done family in India so far, but if I do get, like, I do some destination brides in a year, and if they kind of book me, like, well in advance, then I'm willing to fly out there and do them Mehendi.
That's
So
amazing. Yeah,
the India, like India, the only problem is visas, So if there's some artist that wants to come over, visa
right.
is a big issue. But
I see.
means artists are flying out for destination weddings all the time now.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that, because I'm sure there's people that probably may have not realized that's an option for them.
Hmm.
Yeah, totally. So Nita, tell me, for while choosing a Mehndi artist for the wedding, what are the top 2 to 3 qualities that a bride should be careful about?
The first thing is to make sure it's the work. Sometimes it happens that some henna artists will post other people's work and try to pass it on as their own to get
Oh,
business. So one, for the brides to ensure that the artist they're talking to, it's their work. If they're not sure, then to ask for references of brides that they have done. One of the very important parts that the bride really needs to focus on is making sure that the artist is making their own henna. I cannot emphasize the importance of naturally made henna as opposed to the store bought stuff, because the store bought stuff is full of chemicals, and I hear about people getting reactions to them all the time, and it can be life threatening reaction for some of them. Some of them might not experience anything, but again, down the road, it could change. So I see, like, when I talk to people, some of them are so nonchalant about it. They said, "Oh, I've done it, but nothing's happened." But it doesn't mean that 5 years later, if they do it, nothing's going to happen then, because our bodies keep changing all the time, and the chemicals in the henna paste from the store is pretty dangerous. So even say if the brides like hired me for the henna, I know I've made my paste, but sometimes I see that they're trying to go for a cheaper artist for their guest, and I can smell that terrible henna, being done for the guest. So then they're exposing their guests to that. So I
Mm,
would
mm.
urge brides that please make sure that the henna is made by the artist and it's organic and natural henna.
that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
So yeah, you can like store bought as in like if they go to an Indian store and pick up the henna packets on the shelf,
Yeah.
is that right? I see. So how can somebody ensure that it's natural? Like even if like an artist is making it, how does the bride know that it's natural?
And I mean, that's the unfortunate part. Like, I even know a couple of local artists who claim to make their henna, and unfortunately, they don't make it. So
No.
it's a sad part, because I've heard so many stories about people getting reaction from their henna and having to rush to the emergency. So,
Yeah.
it's one henna
Yeah.
artists have to be truthful about, what they say and do.
Right.
Um, I I host a henna conference, and means I've had so many artists that I come across, and if they're not making their henna, I urge them to come to the conference and learn how to make the henna, learn how to make the cones. So they're protecting themselves as well as other people, because again, you know, down the road, if someone sues them, you don't make like that much money in henna that you're going to be able to protect yourself from a lawsuit. So
Right.
it's
That's a
generally
great
like
point.
safety for everyone all around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, you said the first one was like plagiarism, like people copying designs. Just kind of vet out your designer to see if it's actually their work or if they've actually, taking credit for that belongs to someone else. And then the second thing is the natural use of henna. Was there anything else you wanted to add in addition to the
Um,
quality?
I would say, especially because of the natural henna, it takes like 2 to 3 days to be its best color. So
Mm,
again, planning your Mehendi 2 3 days before, because that's another common myth that henna has to be done a day before the wedding. Um, so I always tell my brides to plan the Mehendi night 2 to 3 days before, for the color to really pop and look nice and dark for the wedding.
Got
right.
it. Yeah, that was one of our questions. So thank you for answering that. Yeah, mostly people in my experience do the wedding one day before the wedding. And that works if it's chemical, right? With natural colors, they don't need 2 to 3 days before the wedding to get the best color, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
chemical henna comes like they don't need to keep it on long. In half an hour, the color's on. It's super dark in a few hours, and then it starts fading or peeling in a couple of days. That's when you know it's not natural henna.
got it. So talking about wedding guests, I know you mentioned. That's one of the questions I had was what is the number of ratio of men the artist should a couple plan as proportion to the wedding guest, to apply Mehendi?
Again, the thing is, compared to here in India, there's a huge difference in how much Mehendi a wedding guest gets. In India, like pretty much everyone gets bridal Mehendi at a bride's Mehendi, because everyone gets pretty detailed Mehendi, either full palms or halfway to the elbow. But over here, because it can get expensive, guests are usually offered like a strip design, and then depending on people's budget, or the bride's family's budget, some people are able to offer one hand, some people are able to offer two hands, some people are able to offer both hands, front and back. So it would all depend on what the bride's family is able to offer to the guests. Typically, good artists can do 13 to 15 simple designs an hour. So 13 to 15 simple design means about four people if they're getting front and back both hands done. So it would again depend on how many guests you're having, how long your Mehendi ceremony is going to be, how long do you want the artist for. So it's always good to consult with the artist. And the unfortunate part about Indian weddings is that no one RSVPs. So the bride is also really clueless as to how many people are going to show up to the Mehendi.
So
So
what are the isn't that like something the wedding planner can help secure like the
not
RSVP?
everyone has wedding planners.
I see. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, got it.
I
Yeah.
would say maybe from the brides I do, maybe like 10% of my brides have wedding planners. So there's
I
not
see.
a lot of brides who can afford to have a wedding planner, or haven't thought about it. Sometimes I'll be doing Mehendi for a bride and she'll say, I wish I had got a wedding planner. So that's something maybe you guys can do more education about for brides.
I see.
That having a wedding planner is important.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you for
Okay.
sharing. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a really great response. Yeah. Give some idea on what's going on out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real problem that I think real RSVPs can solve. Understanding many, how many guests to expect for, especially Mehendi event when it's so we need to plan about the designers. Number of designers coming in to apply the Mehendi. Yeah. Okay. So, Neeta, what are the tips you usually give brides to make sure they get a really nice color after the Mehendi has been applied for their wedding day?
I usually, one of the things I say is they need to keep it on for at least 6 hours after
Okay.
I'm done. So, and then they scrape it off. They don't wash it because,
Okay.
and they usually will put some kind of oil, like mustard oil, coconut oil, something to kind of put it on the mendi and scrape it out, but not wash it for a few hours after. And then when they have to shower and stuff, it's always good to have gloves handy so that they're not touching anything.
Okay.
The more it stays away from water for the next 24 hours after it's been removed, the stain's going to be really nice.
Got it. Okay. And I've also heard like some people do like the clove.
If
I
your
don't know.
mehndi is good, if the mixture is good, you don't need to do that because sometimes, the fumes of the clove can actually cause harm to the lungs. So those fumes are pretty strong. So if
I
you,
see.
again, that's a very old school way of doing it.
Right.
But now, like Mendi, the powder itself has gotten so much more better.
I see.
The
Okay.
farmers who are cultivating it, they're putting more thought in the science of it, and there is this property that the henna leaves have, which is called the Lawson level. So they check that, and the higher the Lawson level, the better the stain is going to be, and like all the farmers do that. So Mendi, as such, the powder and thing has gotten so much better from before. So we don't need to do all the clove, uh,
Interesting.
you
I
know,
see.
the
Yeah, I had that
fumes.
during my wedding, so I was just curious if that's still active.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just kind of going beyond the scope of my understanding, but don't people also apply like lemon juice
Yeah,
to?
that is done. That is done while I'm doing the henna.
I see.
So while the henna dries, I kind of keep putting it like 2 or 3 times. Again, you don't need to go overboard with it,
Yeah.
because again, too much is always it's harmful, or the color might not come.
Hmm.
So, but I do have the lemon juice with me, which I kind of put it on, make sure the brides, because that helps stick the henna paste, and the lemon being acidic, it helps like with the color. So then the mehndi kind of stays on and it doesn't start peeling off.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah, that's really insightful. Do you farming? I was really interested in the farmers and how they're cultivating their henna plant. So, do you get your mehendi from the same farmer, or
I
how do?
actually, the way I mix my mehndi is like I'm actually like know 2 or 3 really reliable like sources in India that I've used their henna for years now,
Okay,
and I usually get my mehndi from them, and I mix up the powders, and I have my own recipe that I make it, and you know
got it. Okay.
it's good quality henna.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure it is. And so much of the thought has been put into the plant itself. I'm sure the mehendi is going to be really good. So Nita, this question, I think most brides will have like how much time should they be allocating to get their henna done for themselves?
Again, this depends on the speed of the artist. Some artists are pretty fast, some take longer time. depends on, how long they've been doing bridal mehndi for. For me, the average time for a bride that wants up to the elbows
Right.
and on her feet up to the ankles, it takes me 5 to 5.5 hours to do a bride. But some
Okay.
bride might just want her palms, and her feet, but that takes me 3 hours. So it really depends on, what the bride wants.
Okay.
And then the time, like I have some brides who go up to the elbow, and on the feet they want to go up to the knees.
Yeah.
So that takes about 7, 8 hours.
Okay, that was really insightful. I think we got some really good insights on the Mehendi side for the wedding. How can someone ensure that they have a successful Mehendi ceremony? Um, and then what should they do and what should they avoid?
See, most brides dream about doing a mehndi ceremony with a lot of people around them. But to me personally, I like doing a bride's mehndi when there's no one around, because the reason for that is, mehndi is one of the few times that a bride just gets to sit down and relax and not do anything. It's forced relaxation. So if there's people around her, then she's still kind of forced to be on her best behavior. Like she has to kind of put on a performance for the art. Like that's what the bride is doing the whole wedding. Like she has to be smiling all the time and talking to people all the time. And with that, what happens to the mehndi artist is, because she's so distracted, she's moving all the time, and that slows me down as a mehndi artist. And then I'm not just focusing on the art, but I'm having to focus on, oh, when is she going to move? When is someone going to come and hug her? Because with the hugging, what happens is the clothes, there's a likely chance of that touching the mehndi, and the mehndi being a wet paste.
Hmm.
I've had so many instances where the mehndi is smeared. So I do tell my brides I need 3 feet of space around, but if there's a lot of people around, that's not going to happen. So I usually advise brides that get your mehndi done before. If your event is in the evening, get it done in the morning. That way it's completely dry for you also, that you can go around, socialize with your guests, then you're not stuck in a chair. Just, and it's then hard on the artist too, about like, making what would be a 5 hour job in such situation ends up being like a 7 hour job.
Interesting. Yeah. So basically, only the guests get their mehendi done at the ceremony, and bride is already ready with her mehendi, right?
I mean, that is advisable, but it
Okay.
doesn't happen all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, because of people wanting to kind of do this with everybody around them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I got my henna done early at 3 a.m. The henna artist came and the ceremony was during the daytime. So I did get it done prior to the ceremony and it was much more enjoyable for
Yeah.
sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, we were dancing around with the henna done. So it was kind of nice to be free.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I know you mentioned about the spring
Spring
henna
fling.
conference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. This year it just happened like 4 weeks ago. Spring Fling's kind of a conference I've put together for 14 years now.
Wow.
Started with 5 people in my house, and it's grown to like the most people I've had attend is like 80. I I
Wow.
want to keep it to like 70, 80 people. I don't want to grow more than that, only because I believe again in having quality over quantity. Um, the reason for me starting this is, when I was in India and I was trying to learn this. I'm a self taught artist, but if I would approach any artist, no one was willing to share. So I've learned things the hard way.
Wow.
So my idea of starting this was to kind of share what I know, and I bring in like-minded artists who are again very well known in the field to come and share their tips, tricks, techniques, and means again it's passing on this craft to the next generation also, and trying not to make it like a lost art. So means it's funny, like just before you guys called me, I've already started working on next year's spring fling, even
Wow.
Okay.
though it's 11 months away. But I'm excited because it's my 15th year and I want to do something special.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put the information in the show notes for people that are interested in being part of this. Um,
Thank you.
yeah. So I had a question about grooms applying Mandy. What have you seen about out there? What are people usually doing, and what are your recommendations?
Grooms usually will get like something small because it's kind of it's called like shakan sagan, means it's good luck to have some mendi. So
Mm,
I usually will try to do something more masculine when I have the opportunity to do a groom's mendi. I'll make like a sun, or I'll do like some geometrical design, and usually I'll put like the bride's name or put their initials in it, just to kind of make it fun.
right.
But I do tell people, I share this, that I know in Rajasthan, like grooms get bridal mehendi, they get a lot, and people are usually shocked by when they hear that. Um,
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, I've heard that as well. So I was asked curious if you'd seen something similar. So you basically are saying just getting a little bit of shagun, like for good luck. That's what
yeah.
grooms usually will do. Got it. Makes sense.
Right. Cool. So Nita, I think those are some really good insights on your process and what brides and grooms should be careful about. So where can people learn more about you and your work?
My website is called mehndiddesigner.com. Mehndi Designer. So mehndiddesigner.com. And I go by that same name on all my social media. So they can like, or if they go on my website, they can find me on Instagram and everything through that.
That's
Definitely.
great.
We're going to post those links so that brides can learn more about you and your work. I'm sure they will be thrilled to see the designs.
Yeah. Nita, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that we didn't ask you?
No, just, it was amazing talking to you guys. Thank you for having me over. And if people have questions, they can feel free. I try to reply to all my DMs on Instagram or email. So if anyway, I mean, I can help someone out with whatever questions they have, I'll be more than happy to do that.
Thank you for listening to the Indian Wedding Podcast. For more exclusive time and money-saving tips, head over to somepotjewelers.com/podcast.